All right. Well, we've got a good crew here, so I think we can just jump right in. I saw that actually Dave Sanderson just joined, who is one of our nodes of connection and how we originally connected, how I originally, met you and your team, Nate. So, Dave, thanks so much for joining. Awesome to have you
Awesome.
here.
Welcome, Dave.
So, yeah, and welcome to everyone. We have a mix of, Firestarter clients, community, and some new faces as well. So it's a really great, mix of folks here. So thanks so much. So this is part of Firestarter's relatively new expert session series, which I'm really excited about because we just have such incredible experts, from an array of areas in our network. And we as the Firestarter team have a lot of expertise in-house, but it just allows us to expand what we can offer our community in terms of support, growing your brands and businesses online and beyond. So really grateful um, to Nate to be our second expert session guest. If you didn't catch it a couple of weeks ago, we kicked off with our first expert session with Carrie Egler, all about sales challenges. Again, he's an expert in sales challenges. He's run 22 five-figure sales challenges or six-figure sales challenge launches, which is a topic that I don't really know much about. So it was an amazing opportunity to just really kind of learn from him who has really mastered that space, and same with Nate. The whole topic of money, I just feel like it's such an under discussed area of business, especially in the online business space. We talk so much around brand messaging, offers, but not really the nuts and bolts of what it takes behind the scenes to really grow a business, and not just to go viral on Instagram a couple of times, or hit it big with one launch or offer, but really to build a brand and business with the right foundation for the long term. So I met Nate and his seven figures funding team at a couple of events that I attended in the fall. One was in Scottsdale, Arizona, with my friend Leah Woodford, and he and his team were there and shared a presentation. They really take a education first approach in this whole funding space. So they're not lenders themselves. They really are, strategic partners helping us as business owners understand the array of options in the business funding space, and really just kind of get to know you and help understand where you are and what could help, take you to the next level. But beyond that, it's just so important, I think, to get comfortable with conversations about money and growth. And again, I think it's just like a really under discussed topic. So I'm grateful for the way that Nate and his team just break it all down, make it very approachable, and make it feel exciting too. So without further ado, Nate, I will hand it over to you. Let me just actually give a short little more formal introduction. So Nate, as I mentioned, is co-owner and director of funding at Seven Figures Funding. And one more person joining us. So Nate's co-owner and director of funding at Seven Figures Funding, and for over a decade, he's helped thousands of entrepreneurs secure the capital they need to launch, grow, and scale their businesses. He has deep expertise spanning sales, underwriting, processing, and fulfillment, and he's overseen tens of millions of dollars in approvals, including Firestarter just got some funding through Seven Figures Funding. So I've worked with him closely and are excited. We're excited to continue growing together. They have a reputation. He has a reputation as a trusted leader in business funding. Beyond the office, Nate is a devoted husband and proud father of four. His competitive drive extends far beyond business, whether he's competing in rodeo events. I've seen pictures of this, coaching his kids, cheering from the sidelines. He brings the same passion, discipline, and commitment to excellence that fuel his professional success. So without further ado, over to you, Nate. Thanks so much for being here.
Awesome. Willa, thank you for having me. And thank you everyone for being here. It is the day before Christmas Eve. There's a lot of stuff probably all of us have to get done in the next 24 to 48 hours. And so I appreciate you guys taking the time to come and join here. Willa has a great network. I've loved working with her over the last month or so. And I am excited to be here and talk to you a little bit about everyone's favorite subject, which is money. And so let me share my screen here really quick, and then we can dive right into it. I want this to be as interactive as possible. And so Please participate in the chat. I know we're probably going to do a Q&A if time permits at the end. But I have been in the funding, the credit, the startup funding space for over a decade, and have learned quite a bit. But my main purpose or my main goal today is to educate, but hopefully be able to start, if this hasn't started already, which it should for most entrepreneurs, but start with to help you with a little bit of a mindset shift when it comes to capital, to funding, to credit, right? And strategic ways to put yourself in a position where you can scale and grow or start your business. Okay. So before we dive into the numbers here, over the last 10 years, almost every client or business owner that I get in on the phone with or get on Zoom with, and before we start talking money and business, I always like to ask why, right? Why did you start your business? Or why are you looking for funding? Why are you looking to scale? And it's interesting, almost everybody responds right away. And the initial response is money, right? Had to throw a mustache on there. That's my trademark now. So, but everybody, their initial response is something that has to do with money, right? Oh, I'm not making enough of my job. I'm not making enough. I have a wife and kids, and I can't live the type of lifestyle we want. I need more money. I need to give myself a raise. I want to be my own boss so I can make more money. And that's great. And it is the driving motivation to take action and get started. But if you dig a little bit deeper, this becomes a very small part of your true why. And I'm glad Dave is here, Dave Sanderson. He talks about freedom, specifically the four freedoms. And so money is important, but it's not because we all love logging into a bank account or talking about all the money we have, right? The reason we want money is because we want more time, right? We want the freedom of time. We want to be able to spend time with our kids, our family, our loved ones, our pets. We want to spend more time outdoors, but more importantly, we just want to be the one in charge of our time, right? Um, Money, mission, and relationships. Okay. So almost everything that drives us and makes us want to build something better, you can put it into one of these four categories: time, money, mission, relationships. And so freedom is the true reason why we're building businesses, the true reason why we try to find solutions for a group of business owners or for our clients and potential partners is not so we can just make money or have bigger revenue. It's so that we can use that to make an impact, to be more present, and to do what's most important to us. Okay, so if you guys haven't already, at the end of the year, Christmas season, New Year's, this is a perfect time. And I don't want you to just think about, yeah, my why is my family. I love my family, right? I want you to dive deeper and to write it down. If you're big on vision boards, my wife is a huge vision board enthusiast, and she makes one for me and my business partners and a lot of people in our community every year. She helps me take my goals that I write down, my why, my motivation, and she helps create a visual. I hang it up in my office. I put it in my bathroom. I hang it on my right next to my bed on my wall. So it's the first thing I see every time I wake up. But I want you guys to at least write down and take a little bit of time to do this, but write down your why. Okay. And it can be multiple things. For example, I'll share my why. Um, my main why is my wife. We had this is my beautiful wife Haley. We've been married for 12 years. This month, on the 20th, we celebrated 12 years of marriage, and we grew up in completely different families. Her dad was a serial entrepreneur. He had many businesses. At one point, he was very successful and had owned a seat on the New York Stock Exchange, and just took all the risk. If he had an idea, he made it come to life. He unfortunately passed away when she was 15, so I actually never got to meet him, but I've heard a lot about him. So she grew up in this family. that was entrepreneurial. They were risk takers. They were in charge of their time. Their freedom was important. Where I grew up with more of a corporate upbringing, right? My dad managed a whole group of restaurants. He stayed with the same employer his whole life. When he helped me choose my first job, it wasn't about what I was doing or making or the potential for growth. It was what does your PTO look like? What's the deductible on the health insurance they're going to give you, right? It was all based on the benefits and kind of the corporate side of the job rather than my potential for growth and to have freedom. Um, Now, in the last 12 years, I've been blessed to have a beautiful family. Um, my oldest is Canyon, and then I got two beautiful daughters, Chesney and Covey, and we have a 1 year old son now. His name's Roan. And so, when my oldest was born, and when all of them were born, but specifically my oldest son, something changed, right? I did have a little bit of a mindset shift to where, gosh, I don't only want to provide for my son, but I want to preside over him and my family. I want to protect him, and I want to be present with him. I don't want to be a dad that he only sees after 5 p.m. on weekdays. And I have a big sports upbringing. My son is a sports enthusiast, and one of my biggest passions. And passion is part of your why. It's one of your four freedoms. One of my passions, and I never saw this coming, but I love to coach my kids. Throughout the year, I'm coaching 3 to 4 basketball games, soccer games, t-ball games a week between my oldest two, and I love to do it. It's my passion. I love working with the kids. I love seeing my kids struggle and then find a solution and get better. And so my kids are another part of my why. Now, outside of family, and I think family is the main driver, I feel like, for all of us for motivation and our why. Um, but I have my passions of my own. Another quick story about me. I am a city boy through and through. Born and raised in the city. I didn't touch a horse till I met my wife. She's a cowgirl, grew up riding horses, competing at a very young age. And so over the last 5 or 6 years, I have become a horse enthusiast. I call it a converted cowboy. And so from COVID until now, I've gotten horses for me and my wife and my kids, but I specifically travel and compete on my horse. And in just a couple years of doing it, became a Utah state champ. I've got belt buckles, and so I feel like I couldn't be a true cowboy until I won my own belt buckle. Right? I wasn't going to go buy one at Cal Ranch or at a Western wear store. I didn't feel like I could really wear a belt buckle until I could earn it myself, and so that was a big accomplishment for me. And the horse world has been an awesome community that I had no idea existed. I joined a riding club in my hometown that's been around. We've grown it significantly since we've joined, but it's been around for about 80 years. You have to be interviewed and passed by the board to get on it. And once you're in the club, they want you to be there for life. But one of the big things that we do is we put on a rodeo every single year in our hometown. Just a few years ago, it got inducted into the Rodeo Hall of Fame. And the entire town looks forward to it every year. In fact, Post Malone, those of you that don't know who this is, Post Malone comes to our rodeo every year, and I got to meet him this year and take a picture with him. So the rodeo is fun, but the more important thing is the proceeds from the rodeo we use as a group to send anywhere from 10 to 30 kids to college on a full ride scholarship. And so one of my missions is to give back. I love horses, so why not use what I'm passionate about to give back? And so this is my why, and an example as you're building your why of what you can focus on, right? Not just family, not just money, but write down what you're passionate about. Write down the mission, what you want to leave behind, your legacy, and keep that throughout this next year, and you'll see how much easier it is to push through a hard day or a long day or a setback. And so with your why, we're going to talk a little bit about money now, but I want you to participate in the chat if you can. I have a question for everyone. I'm sure a lot of you know the answer. And so before we go to that, I want to talk about money a little bit because this is where the mindset shift needs to take place. So my favorite quote for entrepreneurs regarding money is by P.T. Barnum. And he said that money is a terrible master, but an excellent servant. Okay, now let's dive in from a mindset standpoint. What does that mean, right? When money is our master, what type of conversations or subconscious thoughts do we have about money? I'll give you a few examples. We tell ourselves, how much is it going to cost me to do this? How much will it cost me to start my business? Oh, I can't do this right now. This is out of my comfort zone. Oh, this is a really big expense for my business. I can't lose this. I let my money decide what's possible. My money controls what my options are. Okay, so that's the mindset of having money as your master. Now, what if we flipped that on the other way and saw money more as a servant, right? That we can use and leverage for growth and benefit. Then we're going to start to say things like, hey, how much will it cost me not to do this? Or, hey, this is going to push me out of my comfort zone. I need to do this. This is an investment in my business. I can multiply this. I use money to create what's possible, and my money expands my options. Okay, so we are not limited when we are the master of our money, or borrowing other people's money, which we'll talk about. We're now shifting our mindset and view towards debt and money to where it is working for us rather than us working for it. Okay, and so what do you guys think? Tell me in the chat. Is debt always bad? What are your thoughts? What do you guys think? If not leveraged for growth, well, I definitely agree. If someone asks me if debt's bad, I say it depends, right? Only when it's your master and has no value. Okay, I like that. Debt, there is bad debt for sure, but there's also good debt. And so the way you can quickly ask yourself and determine, hey, is this good debt or is this bad debt? I've put some definitions in here. Bad debt is going to be borrowed money that's used to purchase an item or a service that does not retain or generate value over time. Okay. Paul said, not always bad if you see it as an investment for a longer term goal. Maggie said, well, I'm looking at it as investment myself and our future. Perfect. Perfect. And that takes us right into good debt, right? Good debt, and I put this in bold, it is an educated borrowing of money for investments or assets or products or services that have the potential to generate value or income over time. Okay, so when you're using money, whether it's taking out a loan, swiping a credit card, right, leveraging other people's money that's not yours, ask yourself, is this good debt or bad debt? And the quick answer is this going to retain or generate value over time, or is it going to lose value over time? Okay. Now, money can have a compounding effect. And I'm sure if you guys have looked at or read the compound effect, I'm not sure how many of you have read it. If not, put it on your list for this next year to read. But just how we can invest and our money can compound for us. If we leverage capital to grow or start a business, we can also see a compound effect. So I want to do a case study here with some numbers just to show you the power of how capital can work for you. So let's start with the business, and let's say after growing the business and getting some revenue, our monthly revenue, we're at 7,000 a month. Okay, congratulations. That's pretty good. And growing businesses, especially in the startup phase, if they are growing and expanding, on average can grow naturally about 3% per month. Okay. Now let's assume that 3% monthly growth continues over the course of a year. After 12 months, where does that 7,000 a month, what does it turn into? Okay. It's about just under 10,000 a month after 1 year. What about after 2 years? Okay. And if you guys are familiar with graphs that show the compounding effect, what will this look like after 3, 4, or 5 years? Okay. If you continue to grow at 3% monthly, that's going to compound over time, and you're going to have a very successful business with a lot of monthly revenue. Okay. Now, what if we could leverage capital or other people's money so that we can scale at a rate faster than 3%? Okay. Now, what are some things before I put my list up here? I want you to let's participate in the chat. Tell me a few things in your business or things that you've leveraged capital for to scale your business. What do you think are some good debts that you can put capital towards to scale or start a business? Let's see what everyone says in the chat. And while they're typing, Willa, I know you and I have worked together recently and gotten some funding for your business, which is growing quickly. Do you mind sharing a little bit about how you've leveraged capital in the past, or are planning to leverage
Sure.
capital to
Sure. Well,
continue to grow?
this kind of starts from the very, very roots of my, freelance career back in the day, back in 2009. But, I think I started developing, my kind of like mindset around, investing versus expenses, in that early stage, because, I had skills, but I knew I needed some tech that I had to invest in to be able to then have people pay me to do the thing that I would then be able to make money from. So at that time, I needed a new laptop where I could edit on, and I knew I needed an audio recorder and a microphone. So I, got a 0% credit card. I think I got an Apple credit card at that point. Definitely a
Mm-hmm.
personal one because I didn't have a business entity. This was the very, early days. And I put that first laptop on it and, was able to pay it back within that 0% promotional period because I started using that laptop to make money. And I think I've kind of continued with that mindset, throughout the 15 plus years of building. And I think, my experience has been that there have been kind of like waves of, and I don't know, maybe this is me, maybe you see this with other entrepreneurs, kind of like waves of kind of like investment and growth, and it's, I think, part of, what resonated with me and connecting with Nate's team, not only wanting to bring their expertise and educational value to our community, but also as a partner for Firestarter in our growth. um Scaling does not always take lockstep, revenue matched with expenses and team and all of that. And so as we're scaling, it's been waves of growth, waves of sales, building the team to be able to support and fulfill that. And with building a team comes a lot of expense, but we're not going to be able to sustain and kind of like hop to that next level of revenue growth without having the team able to fulfill it. So partnering with Seven Figures Funding has enabled us to kind of cover that gap, as we really invest in our team to be able to deliver at that next level. So really grateful for the support, and also the support that you can give our community of entrepreneurs here as well.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for sharing that. That is exactly how you can. That's the example of good debt, right? Leveraging capital to scale. Is Willa going to grow year after year, regardless, because she's extremely talented and provides value? Yes. I'm confident that that's the case, and probably is the case with most of your businesses. But what can Willa do with her business by leveraging capital so that she's growing at a faster pace and making a bigger impact for the businesses that she serves, right? And so I have a list here, and this doesn't encompass all of it, but things like branding, startup costs, right? You got to get a laptop to edit. You got to get a mic. You gotta have the tools that you need. And a couple Christmases ago, I bought my wife a new big iPad. Um, she likes to do art and is very artistic, especially with digital things. And she just started doing she would like take a picture of our family and trace over it and create this portrait that looks hand drawn of our family. And she posted it, and people started reaching out and say, "Hey, can you do one for me or my family?" Or, "Hey, my mom passed away last year. Can you do one and add her in it for a Christmas present?" And she wanted the iPad for personal use, and it was like $600. And over the last 3 years, she's probably made $5,000 or $6,000, just because she got the iPad, drew something, posted about it, that what she was able to create, and people reach out to her every single week asking her to do it. And so, having the laptop or the iPad or the piece of equipment that you need can make a huge difference. Now, you also need systems and processes, lead generation, right? Who can you serve, and how can you get in front of them so that they know what you have to offer? Debt restructure. We have a whole case study we're going to talk about with debt restructure. Automation, building your team, incorporating AI. Nowadays, if you don't have AI incorporated into your business, someone else that does what you do has, and you're falling behind. Coaching, mentorship, networks, inner circles. And so there's so many different things that can help accelerate your growth just by leveraging a little bit of capital. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like from a revenue standpoint if we grew 8% monthly instead of 3%. All right, what would it look like for you if that jumped to 15%? You can start to see the compounding effect and how it grows just over 2 years. All right, so to break this down, how can we go from 7,000 a month to 200,000 a month in revenue in 2 years? Okay, now this is just giving an example, right? Every business is different, but it's not about signing one single huge client or getting funding so you can start and just staying consistent. It's about understanding how you can leverage the different growth hacks, specifically funding, to grow. And so at 3, 8, and 15% growth after a year, your revenue is going to look different. And look at the difference here. After 2 years, the difference is even more impressive. And so consistent growth over time, even if it is 3%, is going to generate much more value than staying stagnant and plateauing with the revenue that you're at. Okay. And so this is something I get a lot. Someone wants to talk with me. We take a look at their business, their credit, their income, and they say, "Hey, my business doesn't really need funding right now. I'm good." How many of you have had that mindset? And businesses, I've seen businesses start, grow, scale, and even get sold, and someone connects it without having to use funding or leverage capital, but that is a very rare case. And so I want to do a case study. This is someone I actually worked with just over the last 30 days. That when I got on the phone with her, her name's Denise. She didn't really need funding. She just wanted to see her options, and she's like, "Oh, my business is good right now. I'm doing well. I don't really have anything that I would need funding for, but I just wanted to know my options. Thanks for letting me know." Well, fast forward a month, let's share a little bit about her situation. So, her FICO score when she started talking to me, which was November 4th, was a 684 score. Now, that's not a bad credit score at all, but her total credit card debt, and this was just on her personal credit cards, she had about $75,000 in debt. And none of it was 0% interest. And so her minimum payment, which means most of that minimum payment was interest, was close to $1,500 a month. So she owed 75K on cards. She was paying $1,500 a month and has for the last couple of years. And she really hasn't seen her credit card debt go down because the minimum payments really just cover the interest. Okay. And so I talked to her about this and asked her what her plan was, and said, "Hey, you have good income, you have a business that's doing well, and you've spent 2 years paying $1,500 a month without really touching what you owe on these cards. What's your game plan?" And she's just said she'll probably grow over the next year and try to pay it off more aggressively. And so I started strategizing with her, and I recommended an alternate plan. Okay. And so here's what we did. The first step is we got her a personal term loan. She had decent income, and she was maxed out on her cards and still had a pretty high score. All right. If you max your cards out, usually your score drops quite a bit, which was the case for her, but her score was still fairly high. And so we got her a $50,000 term loan. It was a 7-year loan. which put her monthly payment at 730. And her new FICO score went up to 754. So all we did, we didn't get her new funding or new debt to grow her business. All we did was get a loan for 50,000. And I didn't even put the interest rate in here, but the interest rate was 6.99%, right? Her credit card interest rate on average was about 27%. And that's compounding interest over a loan, which would be simple interest. And so we were able to knock out $50,000 of credit card debt, which was about $1,000 a month just in interest. And we just restructured it for her at 730 a month. But now in 7 years, that $50,000 debt will be fully paid off, right? Do you get how that works? 7 years from now, if she continued to pay $1,400 a month on her credit cards, she'd have about 10% of that 50K paid off. And so this has put her in a much better financial situation. Her business is actually cash flowing now because she's saving hundreds of dollars a month in interest. But now with this new FICO score of 754, we went this month and got her 3 new cards approved for her personally and her business. And they had 0% for 1 to 2 years. And she got a total of 65,000 approved. Does that mean she got into 65,000 of additional debt? No, that's just credit limits that are available to her. She used 25,000 of it right away, and she transferred that to pay off all her other credit card debt. So now she has completely zeroed out that 75K. She's boosted her score. She's saving $400 or $500 a month in interest. And now she has an additional 40,000 available if she wants to grow next year for marketing, hire a new team, rebrand, build a new website, incorporate some AI and automations. And so this was someone where my first phone call with them, they didn't need funding. Fast forward 30 days, they're in a much better spot now. Their finances are happier, their credit score is much happier, and they were able to make some smart money moves to really hit the ground running for 2026. Okay. And so I'm not sure how many of you find yourself in a similar situation. A lot of startups, and I look at thousands of credit reports every single year, but a lot of startups are in a very similar situation. And so what can we do to improve that situation and to help accelerate your growth? Okay. And so I don't know what's happened here. Perfect. Now, another question I get regarding money and funding is, what do I qualify for, or what funding is right for me? Here on the right, we've created a ladder or a hierarchy of funding, and you can see there's a lot of options. And these are just the options where you don't have to put your house on the line or your car or your any type of collateral, right? It goes from a personal term loan, 0% cards, all the way up to SBA loans and business loans and lines of credit. And so what does it take for each of these products to actually qualify for? And if I qualify for it, what's going to be best for me? Now, we've seen for the most part in business, especially if you're looking to leverage capital to scale, is revolving credit's one of the very best options. First off, because it's more of a credit-based approval. You don't have to provide collateral. You don't have to have 20,000 a month in revenue or make X amount of dollars. You can get approved just based on the business's credit or your personal credit. Now, also for revolving credit, you can have $500,000 in available credit, but your monthly payments are only based on what you spend. And it's about 2% of what you spend. So every $10,000 $200. Now, another thing expired, right? That $50,000 loan that we got Denise, after 7 years, that's paid off and it's closed. If she wanted that to tap into that 50,000 again, we would have to reapply, get credit pulled again, and requalify, and the rate may be different. Now, revolving accounts can stay open for the life of the business. The big thing here is going to be the 0% interest promo for 12 to 24 months. Okay. Now, apart from that, it is a great tool for debt restructure, moving higher interest debt to 0% interest. And then obviously there are the cash back and incentives. Not a lot of debt that you borrow is going to reward you with points or miles or cash back by using it, where revolving credit does. Okay, so to finish this off, uh, I want you guys to do something small here to take action. I know it's almost Christmas, it's almost the end of the year, but I want each person that took the time to join today to be able to know what they or their business qualify for today, right? I'm not asking you to apply for credit or go have a bank, grab your social security number and put an inquiry on just so that you can know a game plan. I want to chat with each of you individually, and help you strategize like I did with Denise. How can we put you in a better spot? How can we leverage the right capital to grow your business or to help you start your business? Okay. Now, the biggest thing here is there's no hard inquiry. In fact, we don't even need a social security number. We are partnered with Experian. We can strategize with you, look at all your options without pulling credit or asking you for your social, right? If you walk into a bank and want to know how much you can get and what the rate and payment is, the first thing you got to do is get your credit pulled and you got to give someone your social. And so we do not require that. And you get to see your credit factors. We break down credit for you in a way that's simple and understandable. They didn't teach any of us about building or establishing credit in high school or college, right? You just have to learn by trial and error. So let's look at your credit factors. How, like Denise, how can you go from a 680 to a 750 in 2 weeks? And what is it going to take to do that? Um, Most importantly, you'll be able to see what you qualify for. We had that hierarchy of funding. There's a lot of options out there and they all have different pros and cons. And so how much do you qualify for and in what products, so that as you're building your vision board and creating your goals for your business in 2026, it's hard to make a goal for growth if you don't know the type of capital you can leverage next year to accelerate your growth. Apart from that, you can utilize our money manager platform. And a lot of us have different bank accounts, multiple different cards, all are used, sometimes combined for personal and business expenses. What if you could link them all in one place and be able to not only see everything in one place, but to have AI categorize all your expenses for you so that you can quickly see what debt you have that's good debt that you're using to grow your business, and what your expenditures are personally that maybe you can cut back on in this year. And then have a one-on-one strategy session with our team. This isn't a sales tactic to try to bring you on as a client. This is more of an educational opportunity so that you as an entrepreneur have the knowledge and also have the tools to know what you qualify for, how it's going to help you, and what the next steps are for you to start or grow a business. So I want everyone, if you have your phones, I'll also put the link here in the chat. I want you to scan this QR code, okay? And when you scan it, let me just put this in the chat as well for anyone that wants to just click on the link. But for anyone that clicks on that or scans it, and I suggest all of you do, you're going to see a very simple form, right? Your name, contact info, your address, maybe a little bit about your business, what you do, how long you've been doing it, and then you'll click submit. Now, what's really cool about this is once you do that, in the background, a lot of stuff happens with our system, but for you submit this, and within 1 to 2 minutes, you receive a text message from us that, hey, congratulations, you have a pre-approval, which just shows that you qualify for something, and you can schedule a one-on-one call with our team. And that can be for today, that can be for after Christmas, that can be starting January 2nd. And so what I would like to do, since we don't have too many people in here, is I'm going to put a link to my calendar. So I don't want anyone to draw conclusions of, oh, my credit's not good, I'm not going to fill this out, because I know there won't be options. Even if you're in that situation, I still want you to fill it out. And then once you do, even if a minute later you get a text from us that we don't have a pre-approval for you right now, I still want you to click on the link I just put in the chat. That is a direct link to my calendar. I'd love to sit down, take 10, 15, 20 minutes with each of you throughout the next couple weeks, whenever works best for you. And let's create a financial and a credit game plan, whether that's getting you new funding, or restructuring existing debt for you, or just putting a game plan in place for you to build or improve credit over the next couple months. Let's strategize and talk about that so that you're not worried about the money or the credit aspect of growing a business, and you can put your head down and make 2026 a breakthrough year, by scaling your business the right way. Okay, so there's the QR code again for anybody that missed it. But I do just want to leave you with this, and this again is my favorite quote. And if you get anything from this today, I want it to be this slight mindset shift about money. Okay, money is a terrible master, but an excellent servant. So I appreciate everybody for their time. Willa, I'm not sure what timing is looking like right now,
Yeah.
but I'm happy to do any type of Q&A if we have time.
Awesome, Nate. Thanks so much for sharing all this expertise. And I think I love especially that, the ladder graphic. I think it's just so, I think we can make assumptions like, oh, okay, I'm a business. I need, a business loan or, even definitely a business credit card, but just, the way that, you're able to kind of like personally, look at everyone's kind of like unique financial situation because everyone brings a unique, financial situation and history to the table. And so you're able to really kind of like work personally with all your clients to just help really figure out the best match. I really appreciate that. And from having kind of gone through the experience, I sat down, I had the opportunity to actually sit down in person, in what state were we in? North Carolina when we did that.
Yeah.
At Dave's event, to I submitted my info, following that same process, and just to comforting to know that there was no, kind of like hard impact on credit, and just very cool the level of, information, that they're able to see to be able to kind of better assess, your position and kind of provide really, personalized recommendations. And I think you guys have proven yourself over time as being, very reputable, and you have the, the partnership. And so I think it's just a very cool and unusual model. I think it can feel as a business owner, kind of sometimes flying by the seat of your pants and, just kind of, okay, like Googling this, Googling that, and I can say from having gone through this process, with Nate and his team, what they're able to give you access to. Actually the loan that they set me up with it's something new to the landscape, and so has very attractive, very low interest rates. And, just they have their finger on the pulse, of the industry and have access, as being the professionals versus consumers, to pretty kind of cutting edge and, attractive products that we as consumers just Googling, whatever don't necessarily have access to. So
Perfect. Kay
yeah,
put
and
something
Kay,
here in the
yeah.
chat. Let's see. I have my own business with minimal income, but my husband makes a decent salary. I'm assuming I should include his income in the form. Um, what you can do, I believe the form has a question of your personal um, annual income before tax, and then annual household. So you can put kind of what your income is before tax, and then you can also include your total household income, which would be you and your spouse's income. But yeah, that's a great point to bring up. Sometimes with additional household income, even if your business isn't profitable right now and you're not able to pay yourself, there can still be options. And the revolving credit doesn't require income to get approved. You don't have to verify income. So yeah, great question.
Dave, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I know that Nate and his team are kind of mutual connections of ours, and I don't know if you want to kind of share anything from your perspective. We literally met at the Dave's Scale to Success Summit, so scaling business growth
Yeah.
is one of Dave's superpowers, and obviously he sees the value in the work of Seven Figures Funding as well. So I don't know if you want to share anything from your perspective, on this overall topic or anything, Dave.
Oh, thank you, Will. So I was just going to sit back and watch and see the questions, but yeah, it's when I reached out to Nate and Leo, I saw the value of what not only they provide, but the biggest challenge that some of us solo or entrepreneurs have, and I think we all have this. It's one of the challenges you start your own business, you come from a corporate world where everything's sort of funded for you, and all of a sudden you're an entrepreneur and have to do these things. Some of these things that you need help with to be able to get to start the scale. So that's why I invited Nate and his team to come to the event. So people who have those kind of questions, who needed help, who wanted to make I call, as Nate so kindly said, the four freedoms: time, money, mission, relationships. Give them an avenue to be able to at least start that process. So I appreciate Nate and his team coming, and Will, I appreciate you taking Nate up on his opportunity to talk to him, because I think that they have quite a unique approach, and I'm really happy to be able to work with them. So thank you. And if you have any questions, I think that Nate and his team will get back to you pretty quickly and give you the straight answer, which is I think what a lot of people are looking for. Just give me the straight poop right now. Don't sugarcoat it. Right, just let me know where we're at, because we can work with facts. So thank you.
Yeah, just to add to that, as a side note, it's been awesome working with Dave. And I'm not sure, I don't know everyone here and their business model, but for example, in working with Dave, our partnership didn't initially start where he came to me and necessarily needed a ton of funding for his own business, but he had a lot of clients. He's very well connected, and he has an awesome program. And so he had clients that either needed financing options for his program, or he had other business owners in his network that were in dire need of funding so they can pay for a program, a package, some startup costs, a marketing campaign. And so that's another awesome use for this. And I won't dive into it a ton, but we do have a free referral partnership where if any of you are coaches or have huge entrepreneurial networks that you get together and you brainstorm and you strategize together, reach out to me, schedule a call with me as well, because not only can we help you know what your business qualifies for, but maybe we can become a funding partner for you and your clients, to where if you have someone that wants to work with you and they need to pay you $10,000 for the year to do so, but they come back and say, oh yeah, my money controls my options, and right now unfortunately I can't afford this, right? We can come in as a strategic solution for you and get your client the money that you need so that they can pay you to serve them in their business. And so there's a lot of opportunity here with funding and financing. I don't think any entrepreneur can get too much credit or funding education, because like Willa said, everything's changing. One of the awesome products that we helped Firestarter with didn't exist 60 days ago. And it's one of the better products out there. And so it's nothing anyone would have known about, but where we do this all day, every day, and are partnered with these lenders and know what works and what doesn't, we're able to provide the best solution or the best recommendation possible. And if the recommendation is, hey, we can't help you, but here's what you should do with this person or this bank, let me know if you have questions. We'll do that as well. Whatever is going to put you or your client in the best spot possible.
I'm so glad you brought up that, second way that you can support and work with, people in this room and beyond. It's another way that, I'm excited to partner with you and your team. But so many of us, in this online space, do offer fairly significant, packages for coaching. And, Stephen, I know you're working on, what your offer is going to look like for supporting fellow fiction authors and kind of on the business side of things. And so, that same gap, being able to help, the clients that you want to work with be able to work with you, during that time where they're focused on growth, but maybe don't have the immediate funds. So again, back to, instead of, if there's clients who want to work with Firestarter, whether to build funnels or, kind of have overall, support in their business, it feels like a much better supportive solution to be able to, send them to Nate and his team, humans who can help them navigate versus, hey, here's a, link to a Amex 0% credit card application or something, because actually there may be 10 better solutions that are going to, be a better fit for the long term. So I love that other layer of, the way that you work as well. So.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Do we have any more questions we can answer?
Well, thanks so much for this, Nate. It's been an awesome, I feel like apropos time as we head into the new year. It's good to be pushed a little bit and, talk about topics that can sometimes be a little bit, less comfortable, but it's just, so important. We're all here because, we're business owners and trying to build something. Yes, he was very thorough. So this was recorded, we'll be sending out the replay as well. And, we'll share, just reach out if you need those links again. But just, thanks so much, Nate, to you and your team for everything. And, we're excited to continue to partner with you. And, we'll find a time in the new year too to get you back with our community.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thank you, Nate, and welcome.
All right.
Thank
take care,
you.
everyone.
Happy
Thanks
holidays,
all.
everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
All right. Bye.